Sugar Tango as 83.
Hi everyone, welcome to the shack. So I'm sure some of you, like me, when you've been suffering from QRM, have thought about using a wideband active mag loop for your receive. Although I'm using one of my Wellbrooks for just now to monitor that sideband signal on 40 meters, and it's still pretty noisy. So, but that just highlights the reason really why I think quite a lot of amateurs use a mag loop, particularly if they live in areas that are very noisy. I know some members of the Harwell Amateur Radio Society use one. I've tried it before, but I've tend to have done it the manual way by basically just having one of my receivers switched on at the right frequency with one of the Wellbrooks. And then you have to remember to switch the radio off and power down the electronics to the Wellbrook or the Megaloop FX before you transmit. And I have actually forgotten that once or twice. Forgotten to do that once or twice, and you just hear it's just horrible to hear the huge overload as the sort of signal strength goes, pushes way past the upper limit on the dynamic range of the rig. If you do that once or twice and you're unlucky, you could cause damage immediately. But you keep doing it, then it's very likely that you'll cause some damage either to the radio or the electronics of the loop, or both. So to resolve this problem, my friend Tim, Mike 0 Kilo Echo Papa, has his own company, HamTEK, and one of the first products that he's developed is a Bias-T for this very purpose, and which is what you're looking at now. So effectively, with this little box, you can use the PTT output from the back of your rig, route it into the back of this box, and then route your mag loop into the box, and then out of the box to the radio. And you can use, what the box actually does is it uses the PTT output from the rig to switch off the power to your magnetic loop while you're transmitting, and then obviously switch it back on again. Bias-T, so it effectively replaces the power inserter on a Wellbrook loop, and same goes for any wideband mag loop that's actively amplified. So just have a quick look at the connections on the back of this thing. So going from left to right is 12 volts power. I'm actually running mine from my U-Cell leisure battery, and then you've got the first PTT in, that's coming in from the radio. I've also got it connected to the my BLA 350. That's the second PTT, and then this BNC connector here is the output of the box to the back of the radio, which in this case is the ELAD FDM0R via one of my galvanic isolators. And then on the far right hand side, that is the coaxial cable coming directly from the Wellbrook loop itself. Don't worry about the tape, that's basically just because it was originally out in the garden and it was covered in self-amalgamating tape, which if you don't get it all off makes a mess, or put some tape over it just to keep it clean. It's not like a electrical fix. So so I've got the radio, the ELAD, tuned to 7.158 megahertz, because that part of the 40 meter band is clear right now. I've got my Yaesu tuned to the same frequency, 100 watts. I'm just going to use RTTY LSB because then I don't have to stand around here, it's kind of whistling at you. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to transmit at 100 watts, and when I do that, the Bias-T LED should go off, which means that the power to the Wellbrook loop has been cut, which is what you want. So here we go, transmit, release, transmit, release, thus protecting the Wellbrook loop. So it works perfectly. When I first tried this, I was foolishly expecting there to be absolutely no change in the kind of noise floor of the receiver. But of course, even though the electronics for the Wellbrook are powered down, there are still near field effects, because you're talking about 100 watts of signal being transmitted through a wire that's only 10 meters away. And I know that there's near field in the shack, as there probably is with everybody's arrangement. So that you're going to get some signal pickup just through the spaghetti-fied, mess of cables and wires that I've got in the shack here. So, but if I but you can imagine if without with the Wellbrook electronics powered up, then when I transmit on 100 watts, it's going to massively overload. It's going to be plus 60 plus, and that's going to be scary from my point of view because I don't want to damage my equipment. So still on 100 watts, press transmit, and we've got a noise floor, a signal that goes up to about plus 10. And I can live with that because what that means is there are some near field effects that are always going to be there. But with the Bias-T powering down the Wellbrook loop, that it's resulting in a near field kind of signal that is manageable. And we can actually visualize that because I've got the ELAD running on the superb FDM SW2 software, so you can actually see that signal. So, and I used to see this a lot when I used to use the ELAD for FT8. So there you go. So we've got a bit of signal, plus 10, but perfectly manageable. So effectively, this little box allows you to protect your equipment while when you're transmitting, and it's just a really useful little device to have, because there are times when I've wanted to use my mag loops where either one of the stations on one of the Harwell skeds is just very weak on the wire. So, and I've got two mag loops that are perpendicular to each other. So you want that option. But also, some days we get onto 40 meters and the noise is horrific. And so, you quite often get a better signal on a mag loop. If you've got one on a rotator, of course, you can null the noise very accurately. With my setup, it's compromised slightly, but being perpendicular gives me two options. So, and not having to fiddle around switching rigs on and off and, pulling plugs from the power inserters is really useful. So there you go. So HamTEK Bias-T, a really, really nice little product. Go to Tim's website, and I've used this already, and it works really, really well. What I'm going to do though for you guys is that I'm going to work a couple of stations using it with the Yaesu and upload those videos as well. So this is kind of an introduction to the product, how you set it up, and then I'll do a couple of videos working through some QSOs with it. And what I'm planning to do is on the Harwell Wednesday afternoon sked, rather than use the Kenwood, I'm going to use this setup. And what I'm probably going to do is, because everything on this bench is quite far apart, I'm probably going to unplug the laptop that I use for monitoring signals on the ELAD software. I'm going to unplug it from the monitor and move the laptop around and view the signals from the laptop directly. But that's just really ergonomics. That will allow me to do this whilst recording a video for the benefit of you guys. So yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Check out the website. Thanks to Tim for thinking of me for testing this brilliant little device. And as I said, there'll be some more videos on this to come. So thanks very much, and 73.